Young people are just smarter. That's a quote by Mark Zuckerberg, noted founder of world famous startup company Facebook. Well, it's not a startup company anymore. It's a mature company, but that's a quote that is accredited to him. And is that true? Are young people just smarter? Is it better to be younger or older as an entrepreneur? Let's find out. But before we get into that, I want you to check out this video. Hold on one second.
How does it look when you take care of your skin? Well, one thing's for certain, it's no easy task. Taking care of our skin is essential. Whether you're out on that long trek, riding the waves, meeting your best match, in pursuit of that next big win, or simply moving in this journey we call life. Our skin defines our inner vulnerabilities and our outer beauty. It encompasses our entire body. And with Melalogic, it just got that much easier to protect it. Melalogic is a revolutionary skincare technology that specifically gives Black people a single source of skin health information backed by research from trusted professionals who look and feel like us. Through Melalogic, you gain access to medical intelligence that can auto-detect and pre-diagnose any skin issue that you may be experiencing. Through unique formulas and robust features such as tips and illustrations, Melalogic reveals the appropriate skin analysis and suggested treatments to get you back on track to a healthier skincare lifestyle. Skincare goes deeper than what the eye can see and is more profound than what we know. Skin health is emotional wealth. Join the revolution in skin health technology. Join Melalogic today.
All right. Yeah. So that is Melalogic, and Melalogic is a platform that gives Black people a single source of skin health information from trusted professionals who look like them. It was created by yours truly, Avery Smith. So go and check it out at melalogic.com and let's cure what ails you. Now, I'm here to talk about age and entrepreneurship. Really want to get into that. There is a very good research paper that I came across from a gentleman by the name of Dell Johnson. And I'm trying to pull that up here. And this research paper, let me pull this up. Okay. All right, I'm just getting it queued up. So this research paper talks about age and entrepreneurship, but I just want to hit on this really quickly. So there's this prevailing notion that entrepreneurship, and in the case of the type of entrepreneurship that I'm talking about, I'm speaking on tech entrepreneurship, but it applies across the board. Dame Dash, the famous producer, executive producer, business mogul, who co-founded Rockefeller Records with Jay-Z and also is attributed to discovering Kanye West, or at least giving Kanye his big break, speaks incessantly about being a boss, CEO. He's selling Olas with the words CEO over it. CEO. Olas are basketball shorts. It's a New York term for those unaware. And he says how he tells his son that you should be working for your last name, not your first name. And there's this prevailing thought process where everybody's trying to be a boss, and it is discouraged to workplaces and to learn the ins and outs of your trade and your field and your skill. There's so much promotion about going directly into being a mogul and a businessman or businesswoman. You see these articles that come out talking about black women are are demonstrating the most accelerated growth into entrepreneurship of any demographic, and it's celebrated like that is inherently a good thing. But a lot of times people go into entrepreneurship because that's the only option they have, not necessarily because it's the best option on the table. So there is this salience that being a young entrepreneur is all of a sudden a predictor of success, and being older or old is somehow demonstrating somebody who was not able to perform, and they're not necessarily in touch with the times, and they should be further along by whatever age they are than they are. And I want to talk about that a little bit to see whether or not that's the case. All right. And there's a research study that I want to show you here. And this study, let's see here. Okay, let's open that up. Yeah. So let me knock myself out here. And it's called Age and High-Growth Entrepreneurship. And it's a research study that is done by DOI.org. DOI.org is the American Economic Association. So you all can look that up at your leisure to check their paperwork and see if that is legit. But I can assure you that it is a trusted source, but you can do your own diligence to see that if it is for you. But let's move forward. Let's presume that it is. Many observers and many investors believe that young people are especially likely to produce the most successful new firms. Integrating administrative data on firms, workers, and owners, we study startups systematically in the United States and find that successful entrepreneurs are middle-aged, not young. The mean age at founding for the 1 in 1,000 fastest growing ventures is 45.0. The findings are similar when considering high technology sectors, entrepreneurial hubs, and successful firm exits. Prior experience in the specific industry predicts much greater rates of entrepreneurial success. These findings strongly reject common hypotheses that emphasize youth as a key trait of successful entrepreneurs. So here's a quote here: young people are just smarter. Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. There's another person that many people don't know who they are, but he's well known in the tech industry. His name is Paul Graham. And this guy said something that was really reckless, but it's a well-known statement. The cutoff in investors' heads is 32. After 32, they start to be a little skeptical. Paul Graham, venture capitalist and founder of Y Combinator. And I just kind of want to hit on this a little bit, and I want to say, like, get this music going. Yeah, that everything you were told about entrepreneurship is wrong. It's pretty much a lie. Entrepreneurship is as it sounds. It's about grit and determination. Everything else is just a finesse. Jeff Bezos is accredited to have said that the key to success is working smart, hard, and long. It's about being able to stay in the game long enough to get some wins. And the longer you can stay in the game, then the more your probability increases, which coalesces with age. And we're at a place right now where tech is mainstream. So many people want to get into it. So many people want to have successful businesses. Everybody's got an idea for an app, and they really think it's going to take off. And then you have a cottage industry of investors and venture capitalists, or people presiding over money that is more than likely not their own. And they tend to acquire a bit of prestige, but that does not necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. And yet and still, these people, many accelerator programs, many news articles, media outlets, PR publications, they put out these statements that tend to promote this idea about young people, and they should be out here starting companies, and that's actually not very good advice, and it's very self-serving advice. And the reason why it's not very good advice is as follows. Let's get back to this article. So let's see. I actually got a couple things highlighted here. So we see that more successful startups have, if anything, slightly older founders on average. For example, the 1,700 founders of the fastest growing new ventures, the top 0.1% in our universe of US firms, had an average age at founding of 45.0 compared to 43.7 for the top 1% and 42.1% for the top 5%. Regardless of the measure of technology intensiveness chosen, we see older founders as we move toward upper tail performance, especially for the top 1 in 100 or top 1 in 1,000 firms, as well as for founders with successful exits. This evidence is at odds with the conventional wisdom that successful founders skew younger. So what we have here is several researchers that started to research and try to see whether or not age was an indicator of entrepreneurial success, and they were to successfully analyze that, but their findings were the exact opposite of what conventional wisdom says and what a lot of these venture capitalists say. I'm trying to expand this right here, and I'm going to show you this chart. So as you can see, this is a chart here where it says age of entrepreneur and the overall US startup founders, that's the blue line, and then founders of top 1% growth startups, that's the red line. So top 1% growth startups is a startup that's doing very well. High growth means that they are experiencing year over year revenue that is over 100%, essentially. And also when a company is high growth, they tend to be able to grow their services or grow their customer base without necessarily adding comparable staff to serve those new customer segments. So that tends to define what a high growth startup is. And as you can see here, that at the ages of 20 to 30 is the tail end of the through line, and it tends to increase as the age increases from 30 to 40. And then also once you hit about right before 40 and going into 40, you can see that the profits, so the top 1% growth startups tend to occur here around this time, and then it tends to increase more and more, dips a little bit, increases more and more as you get further into 40, and then it starts to kind of drop down, but it's always more successful than the ages of under the age of 40, as you can see. And let's see, we got some highlights here that I put down, and let's see. A founder at age 50 is approximately twice as likely to experience a successful exit compared to a founder at age 30. Overall, we see that young founders appear strongly disadvantaged in their tendency to produce the highest growth companies. And I'm sure you're all wondering, well, why exactly is that? And we can get into that, and that is, let's see, disadvantaged. Let's scroll up here. Here we go. So the likelihood of success. Our previous results have demonstrated that growth-oriented startup founders in the U.S. economy tend to be middle-aged, not young. Thus, when asking where most high-growth or technology-intensive firms in the United States come from, the answer is middle-aged people. However, an equally important question is to ask how the probability of entrepreneurial success changes with founder age conditional on starting a new firm. This statistic may be more informative for an individual considering founding a company or for investors deciding where to place their bets. For example, if two founders of two distinct firms come to pitch their idea to a venture capitalist and all the venture capitalist knows is these founders' ages, which would be more likely to produce an upper tail growth outcome? To examine the relationship between the likelihood of success and age, we run linear probability models where an indicator for success is regressed on a full set of founder age fixed effects. Age 20 and below is the omitted category. Graph that each age coefficient and the associated 95% confidence. Let's see. Yeah. Coefficient and associated 95% confidence interval in figure 2. Our success indicators are exit by acquisition or IPO, and 1 exit by acquisition or IPO, and 2 employment in the top 0.1% measured here at 5 years from founding. Figure 2, panel A, considers successful exits, which occurs for roughly 4,000 or 0.15% of the founders in our universe. We see that the relationship between age and successful exit is monotonically increasing up until about age 60 and declining slightly thereafter. A founder at age 50 is approximately twice as likely to experience a successful exit compared to a founder at age 30. Figure 2, panel B, replicates this analysis using top 0.1% employment growth as a success metric. Let's see. Here again, success probabilities are increasing with age, though the individual age coefficients are estimated less precisely. Similar to exit results, a founder at age 50 is approximately twice as likely to achieve upper tail employment growth compared to a founder at age 30. Overall, we see that younger founders appear strongly disadvantaged in their tendency to produce the highest growth companies. That said, there is a hint of some interesting age thresholds and plateaus in the data. Below age 25, founders appear to do badly, or rather do well extremely rarely. But there's a sharp increase in performance at age 25. Between ages 25 and 35, performance seems fairly flat. However, starting at age 35, we see increased success probabilities now outpacing the 25-year-olds. Another large surge in performance comes at age 46 and is sustained toward age 60. It goes on, and there's a lot there, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna sum this up. And so, essentially, the reason why older entrepreneurs tend to do better than young entrepreneurs is that older entrepreneurs have more experience, and younger entrepreneurs, when you're first starting out, like, you may have a lot of ambition, you may have a lot of drive, you may have a lot of energy, but what you tend to not have is experience, and you don't necessarily have a network or a name. And all three of those attributes are required in order to have lasting and sustaining success as an entrepreneur, to break through and to make sure that your idea holds within a market. And so the reason why entrepreneurship, and particularly tech entrepreneurship, is promoted so incessantly across young people by these institutions, these investment portfolios, these venture capitalists, these accelerator programs, and the like, is pretty much because they are incentivized to do that, because that's how they get the best deals. When you're young, many times you're in dire straits, your finances are not in order, your pockets aren't, your money's not long like that, your arms are short, and you can't really move like you want to. You're also inexperienced, so you don't know when somebody's lying to you or not telling you the truth or not giving you the best deal. And many of these organizations and these people, they take great advantage of that. And let me explain what that is. So for example, you have a lot of stuff going on, like pre-seed investments, right? And this idea of pre-seed, now very few people can really define what pre-seed actually means. If you ask 10 people, you probably get 11 answers. But in short, what pre-seed means is, it means investment money that is under $500,000. That's kind of like the nomenclature of what pre-seed means. And particularly, it lands around the $125,000 mark, right? That ends up being industry convention, if you could even call it an industry. But that becomes the accepted norm around there, somewhere between $100,000, $150,000, $175,000. But pre-seed tends to mean the first money entered into the business. And usually pre-seed money is an investment, and that comes with a percentage of a company that is bought into. Now the thing is that if you're under the age of 30 and somebody comes and they start waving $100,000 check, that's money that you probably never even seen before. So you're excited about that. And you may give up a big share of your company, and you're thinking, and you're going around telling people, and you might even write it up on your website or whatever, that, yeah, hey, you raised $100,000 and or you sold a part of your company for $100,000, and you're celebrating that. But what you don't realize is that that $100,000 is really not a lot of money. And in fact, if you went out and you got a job and you worked for a couple years, you probably would have hit $100,000 right there. That $100,000, even though that goes into your company, you have to then live off of that if you're doing it full time. And not just live off of that, but you also have to build a company all around $100,000, which pretty much is a pittance. And not only that, you've given up a certain, you've given up a percentage of your company. Now, if you're creating a high growth startup, you're not in it to earn back $100,000. You're in it to create a company, and any company in the United States that's worth its weight in salt, even a nonprofit organization, is going to have to clear $1 million or more in a year just to have 5 employees. So, if you're starting a business, if you're starting a company, that is going to be your aim someday, is to hit at least $1 million, which sounds like a lot, and it is to an individual, but it's not a lot for a company. It's pretty much like the bare minimum of any company. You should be making $1 million if you plan on employing anybody. And these VCs, they know that, but the thing is that they're not giving you that $100,000, $125,000, whatever, what have you, whatever that is. They're not giving that to you so that you can make $1 million and pay them that $100,000 back. No. These venture capitalists, these accelerator programs, they're giving you that money because they want you to return it 35 times over. I know that's crazy, but that's what it is. That means for every $1 in, they want $35 out. Now, when you're just getting started, or when you haven't really been nuanced or burned, or you're not really that well experienced, you just take the money and then run, right? Like, cause you a boss, like Dame Dash would say. But what you'll find out is that the more you give up of your company early on, then the less of your company you have later on. And also, the more of your company that you give up early on, the more dependent you tend to be to have to receive further on investment later on, because you have not figured out a way to really make money or make revenue. That tends to be what happens. So you have a lot of entrepreneurs out here, and you'll see their names and they're plastered all over television and plastered all over these websites, and they may even be panelists at your favorite conference, and they're broke. They're essentially working for free because the ownership in their companies are so diluted because they've given up pieces of their pie early on, even to get to the point of you knowing who they are. And now that they're older and then they're wiser, they would do things differently, but because they were so hungry, they were so desperate, they were so inexperienced, all things that correlate with age, they took a bad deal. They took a Faustian deal. And a Faustian deal means a deal with the devil, or a very bad deal, a deal that does not have favorable terms. It is exactly like the music industry. Yep, tech entrepreneurship, venture capital, accelerator programs, all of that is exactly like the music industry. You get some money at one of these tech accelerator programs, and they're getting 10% of your company for $100,000. Man, I mean, you might as well be Meg Thee Stallion. You might as well be Ice Spice. Ice Spice is talking about how she got $2 million to rock a mic. She's also, what, 21, 22? So she ain't never seen no money like that. But really, that's not a lot of money at all. You see Meg Thee Stallion complaining about Carl Crawford and her saying she's got a bad deal. But the thing is, had she not signed that deal with Carl Crawford, who would we even know who Meg Thee Stallion is? But now she has the fame, but she doesn't have the finance. She don't got the money. She has to fulfill her obligation, right? And so the tech industry is the same exact way. Now the thing is that as you get older, above the age of 30, see, the reason why you can develop more of an ability to succeed as an entrepreneur as you get older is because of the development of a subject matter expertise. That means that you're apprenticing. That means that you're getting better at the particular trade or skill that you've been working on over the past 10, 15 years, right? From the age of 18 to 35. That's 17 years. That's 17 years of you grinding, of you learning the ins and outs of a particular skill set, of a product, of a market. And then from the age of about 35 to 40, you start to work and build your own name and study a particular problem, right? That's under you, that's under a jurisdiction that you're claiming. So from the ages of 18 to 35, you're working under someone else. And you're learning the ins and outs of a particular industry, a particular trade. And while you're going through that, you're noticing problems. You're noticing places that things can improve. And then from the age of 35 to 40, you start doing more research on that and you start identifying that particular issue. And then you start building out or brainstorming a particular how to solve that particular problem. And then around the age of 40 or so, you venture out to solve that problem. And the reason why you're able to do that is because as you've grown in your skills, as an apprentice, as an employee, you've also increased in your financial income, increased in your financial value, increased in your financial well-being. So now you are at a place where you can have money saved or you have better credit, where you're able to take more calculated risks at about the age of 40 or thereafter. You're able to take risks and absorb any hiccups or setbacks or obstacles that a younger version of yourself would not be able to leap over. Because you don't have the name, you don't have the credibility, you don't have the credit, you don't have the network. That means friends, right? And here's the thing about networks and why also older people tend to be more successful at entrepreneurship. See, because your network is very important. Because remember this, your network grows as you do. So the reason why somebody at 40 can have a stronger network than somebody at 20 or somebody at 30 is because the person at 40 has other people around their same age that have all grown in subject matter expertise, skills, and ability, right? They become more weather beaten, stronger, sharper, smarter, more accomplished, and these people can begin to help each other out. You don't necessarily have that when you're in your 20s, when you're in your early 30s, and that's okay. It's okay. Life has different phases and it has different chapters. But you have to be attuned as to which phase and which chapter you're in if you really want to succeed, right? Don't go against the flow. Go with the flow. And I'm not saying be a follower. I'm saying understand the times that you're in and how to move. And then once you develop the particular skill sets that are necessary in the portfolio, then you'll be able to venture out and chart those uncharted waters, which is what you're doing as an entrepreneur. You're doing something that, particularly a high growth entrepreneur, when you're solving a problem utilizing software or hardware technology, you're doing something that's never been done before. And see, the other thing about being an older entrepreneur versus a younger entrepreneur is that you're less likely to also take bad deals or be controlled by people who don't know what they're talking about. And you have more of a keen sense and ability to pick up on when people don't know what they're talking about. But when you're younger, you don't necessarily know, right? Like, for example, I had someone who trumpeted around how successful they were in business. And they were angling to invest into my company. And I was excited. I was like, okay, cool. This is great because this is going to give the validation in which that I want, that I sold something that was my idea, sold a piece of it. And as I demonstrated to you earlier, I have a company called Melologic. And so this person was going around and they really liked the story of my company, and so they were telling other people that they were mentoring me, and those people were giving this person, from what I understand, they were giving this person money because this person is telling a story, making it seem as if the money that he's getting from these people is directly monetarily impacting me. So basically that money is being invested in me. And it wasn't being invested in me. Not only that, this person who to the outside people would go around and say, hey, yeah, we're working together, came to me and suggested that I should not be the CEO of my company, that somebody else should. That I needed to develop more CEO skills. So basically they wanted to relegate me to another position, but I would not be the person that would be steering the vision of my company. So again, to the people on the outside, this person made it seem like we was working together, they're mentoring me. They're part of the reason why my company is achieving the things that it's achieving, but on the internal, he was kind of angling to replace me out of my own position. And had I taken that money, then that would have removed certain powers and capabilities that I was endowed sovereignly through the fact that I created this company without this person. And a lot of people take the money. A lot of people find themselves in these situations because they're so desperate. But fortunately for me, I have a track record. $100,000 is, as I said earlier, not really a lot of money. I mean, I could pretty much pull that off on my own. So what I would have done had I taken that money is brought on somebody connected to my company legally with paperwork that would have been adversarial to me. So it's almost like, not almost, but I basically would have been carrying dead weight. This person would have owned a piece of my company, but they would not have been making the necessary contributions in order for us to be successful. And here's why I say that. Because I have a company that is focused on improving Black skin health outcomes. And one of the things that we do that very few people do in this world is we create visual aids. That's medical art that utilizes Black people as the subject of whatever the skin condition is. Something so simple, but very few people do it. And that's because, I mean, a lot of people don't care about Black people, one, and then two, it's very difficult to do. to render properly. And then 3, you need a certification. You need a license in order to do that. Anyway, this person said, and they didn't know these things, but when I presented them this particular product that we have, this person said, well, my sister is an art teacher. I could pay her and she could knock that off tomorrow. That's what this person said. Oblivious to the fact that you could get sued doing that, because you have to do this stuff through a certification. It's like performing surgery, but you're not a doctor. Like, there are legal ramifications for that. This person didn't know that, because this person is totally unfamiliar with this area of expertise. So that was the first thing that said, okay, this person should probably not be part of the inner workings of my business. The second concern I had was when I was sharing with this person all of the skin conditions that we cover with our app that are of concern for Black people, one of them being vitiligo. And vitiligo is a very, very, very popular skin condition among Black people. And when I said that, this man I failed to say this is a Black person, older Black person, he said, what is vitiligo? Now, maybe he knew and was trying to quiz me, or maybe he didn't know. I have a sense that he really didn't know. And if you don't know what vitiligo is, that's totally fine. Vitiligo is when your melanin stops being produced. So the melanin in your body produces the pigment that colors your skin. And that's produced by entities in your body called melanocytes. Melanocytes produce the melanin, which provides the pigment in your skin as a human being. So as people who identify as Black, and many of us darker people, we produce a lot of melanin. And so when our melanocytes stop producing melanin to the degree in which that we're used to, we develop patches. And that condition is called vitiligo. It's the same condition that Michael Jackson had. Same condition that the model Winnie Harlow has. It is a condition that you'll see if you're around enough Black people. And it develops at any age. And for him to be like, what's vitiligo? Demonstrated to me that he was oblivious to the need of melalogic. And because he was oblivious to the need of melalogic, and also oblivious on how to create software, he would have not provided any real value in order to help move melalogic along in the direction in which that I saw and I see melalogic going, which is a high growth software platform. And I have 23 years experience in this field. And I have been coding, working on websites since 1999, before the year 2000. I started when I was in college in the fall of 1999. This makes 23 years. I'm going into my 24th year. And so there's really not anything anybody can tell me about the internet that I haven't seen or have the curiosity about or can talk about. Not saying that I know everything. but I've just seen so much, and I understand the gaps, and I understand what people want, and I know who to talk to. I know how to create things that are resilient, and I know how to create things that can target one person or a million people or billions. It's a unique perspective and set of skills and experience that I have. This person didn't value that. And so because of that, I made the decision to go elsewhere. And we're live and we're kicking. And we just launched a new app. And we were also recently featured in Bloomberg, which is a financial media outlet. And that's all without the help or assistance of this person. And I'm able to make these judgment calls, not necessarily just because of the strength of my idea, but also because of my experience. I'm older. Rejection is protection, ladies and gentlemen. Let me say that. A lot of us complain, and even myself, get upset when people don't understand what it is that we're doing. When we apply to get investment or accelerator programs, you name the accelerator program, they send you, people say, oh, you should get to know the program coordinators. You go, you get to know the program coordinators. You might even promote their stuff. You might even spend a little bit of money to get things together to apply. And they may even pump you up. Apply. And then after you apply, you get a rejection letter, no explanation or anything like that. And it can be very upsetting. I've had that happen to me on many occasions. I've even complained about it. But I want to submit something into your consideration. And I want to submit unto your consideration is everything that I said a little bit earlier. Is that many of these outlets that say they want to invest and you apply and they reject you, don't necessarily reject you because you have a bad idea. They reject you because they can't take advantage of you. That's the irony of it, is that these programs, these accelerator programs, these venture capitalists, if you ask them, a lot of times they'll reject people because, and I'm not talking about people that just totally are disqualified because they don't air quotes pass. They don't even fill out all the paperwork. A lot of times they'll reject people because they feel like they can't help them. They don't know what to do, but they'll accept the people that they feel that they can help, which is ironic, right? Because why would you just want to help people you think that you can help? That will create an echo chamber. Really, what you want to do is diversify your portfolio and invest or connect or listen to or walk side by side with somebody else who knows more about a particular subject matter than you. And that person would be the founder. But they don't want to do that. Not because they're uneducated in a particular area, which they are, but precisely because they don't want to do the work. They're not about actually helping anybody. They're about helping themselves. That's why they don't invest in a large amount of opportunities. Has absolutely nothing to do with their thesis or anything like that. They just don't feel like they can make money. Thesis is diversity and inclusion, invested in black founders, and invested in name your founder, whatever the type is. All that stuff is just company line. It allows for it's for the algorithms. It's for hashtagging so that they can get seen. But ultimately, all those people, a majority of those people, have lottery mindsets and they want to 35x their investment. Now think about that. Where else in society can you put $1 in and get $35 out? Not many places. I can think of two things. Fractional reserve banking. $1 in the bank, they can loan it out 7 times more to another bank, which then gets that dollar, and then they can loan that dollar out 7 times more. I can think of default credit swaps. If you've seen the movie The Big Short, where you have people shorting or betting that people will not pay their mortgage, and then you have somebody else comes in and bets that that bet will hit. Then somebody else comes in and bets that that betted on the other bet hits. And Vegas, gambling. Oh, and street walking. The Bible talks about a practice called usury. Usury is lending with exorbitant interest, and it's a sin. It's prohibited. It's prohibited in the Bible by Israelites. God of the Israelites prohibits lending with exorbitant interest because it is akin to slavery. And that's what venture capital is, ladies and gentlemen. Mind you, venture capital, they don't have to look for 35x. They don't have to look. The reason why, by the way, they say 35x is because they want to get to $1 billion exit. But the thing is that there's no rhyme or reason why that is even a desire or why that is even a threshold except greed. So I want to encourage you, those who are young entrepreneurs, that you're going to fail. You see 30 under 30, 40 under 40, and all of that stuff, people getting these highlights and all of that. And I'm telling you right now, that stuff doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. You can pay for a Forbes article. Did you know that? You can buy what's called a PR pack, public relations pack, and hire someone. They write an article about you and they syndicate it across popular domain names. Now, I'm not saying Forbes is in that list, but I am saying that you can pay for articles. Now, I don't do that. I wouldn't ever do anything like that because I care too much about authenticity. And I want to know if I am successful, not because I pumped up numbers, but because I'm meeting a demand. I want to know whether or not what I'm doing is actually successful. So I don't do that. If you look up my name, if you look up Melologic, you could check my paperwork and see I have different articles. You won't see the same article twice. Every article is different. They might talk about similar things, but I try to be very intentional that everything that's written about Melologic, everything that's written about me is always something I always want people to get a feature or an exclusive or something new. That's what I desire. I mean, sometimes I can't always do that because we're in between milestones, but the PR, but the news outlets, they come and they want to talk about what we're doing because what we're doing is so novel, and they reach their own audiences. So it's important that at times I have to repeat certain things, but I still try to give fresh takes about what it is that we're doing. But see, I can do that because I'm older, because I understand the internet. I know what it is that people want. I have a gift. Yeah, and I'm chosen. Do you. But you gotta understand you to do you. How do you understand you to do you? I'm gonna give you 2 books. First book I read, audio book. I listened to it on YouTube, but it helped me out a lot. And this helped me orient myself for my current startup company, which is Melologic. I had a previous startup company, which was one that I was learning, and I got a lot of bumps and bruises with that one. And this was the one I started when I was 32, 33 years old, around that time. And I did it from about 32, 33 all the way to 36. Bumps and bruises. And I had startup companies that I started before that. I always wanted to have some kind of website, some kind of app that made money. I've been wanting to do that ever since the early 2000s. But a book that helped me out a lot was The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. It's written in the 1930s and is by a Black American, foundational Black American, named Carter G. Woodson, who wrote about the double-mindedness of the Negro and how we can achieve success as a group, and how when we go to school or we learn trades or skills, because we learn under a regime of colonization, the things in which we learn to advance in the system are especially harmful for us as Black people because they deculturate us from our own group. So the further we can embed into the empire, then the less useful we are in our own nation, subservient nation, concomitant for the nerds. But the book, The Miseducation of the Negro, helped me out a lot because it showed me that it is not only okay to focus on building your own community as in a Black community, but it's imperative. Not only is it imperative, it has its own unique challenges that the empire community or the dominating society lacks. And it's up to it's up to me to understand what those nuances are and work with those nuances and not against those nuances. So a lot of people don't understand exactly that, but I understand it. I understand it very well. So that's why I can create something like Melologic and it succeed, because I understand I learned about what Carter G. Woodson was saying. So, and some of those things are about vertical integration, non-competition, providing a plethora of services not necessarily competing with one another, but complementing one another. Also understanding the characteristics of said particular group that you are building for and what it is that they're interested in, because many times what it is that they're interested in might be counter to what another group is interested in. So that's why it's very important to understand the advice that you get. Because not everybody has good advice. They might have well-meaning advice, but they don't necessarily have good advice that's going to work for what it is that you're doing. So Black people have, we as a group and as individuals have specific needs that in many ways are counterintuitive to traditional business practice. And so it's paramount to understand those things if you want to be successful and solve a lot of the problems that are unique to the Black community. So that's something that I learned with in that book, The Miseducation of the Negro. And the next book that I learned that helped me out immensely is called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. I got it somewhere. I think I got it over here. Where is that book? I got it in my house somewhere. But anyway, Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And the value that I gathered from that book is that everybody has a network. Everybody's got a network. And the quicker you can understand the network in which that you were born into and work through that network, not necessarily network you want, but the network that you've inherited. Just remember, inheritance is what you receive when you get here. And it is of no choice of your own. Just the facts. It's like your last name. You don't choose your last name. Hell, you don't choose your first name unless you change it. There's not much that you choose about yourself. You have inalienable endowments. So the quicker you can recognize that which you already possess, your skills, abilities, and vantage environment that you're born into, the better you can learn your own terrain, then the more accomplished and successful and advanced you can become. That's what I learned from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And it was from that I decided to focus on my own network and stop chasing after others. So I've had people say, oh, you should try to go and meet so-and-so. You try to go and meet so-and-so. Funny enough, I've gone and I've tried to meet so-and-sos. Didn't work out. Where you meet people and they are nothing like how they're advertised. I've had those experiences. And I began to learn, and I say, relationships are everything. My network is my network. The school I graduated from is the school that I graduated from. My alma mater is my alma mater. It might not be the most famous one or the one that's most plastered all over TV, but it's mine. And I should focus on that and value it, and I have, and that is why I'm able to succeed like I'm able to succeed, and I have the support that I have, and I want to encourage you to do exactly that. I want to say there's a scripture, and the scripture is Proverbs 14:23. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury. Penury means poverty. Idle chatter, people just talking. All work leads to profit. Just remember that. All work leads to profit. Don't worry about working the most efficiently right now. That's like stepping over dollars to get to pennies. Sometimes you just gotta work. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was insightful. All work leads to profit, but mere talk leads only to penury. Value your network. Age is a factor with entrepreneurship, but not in the way many people think. The older you are, the more opportunities you have to succeed. That's just what it is. Because the greater of an ability you have to overcome the obstacles. And yeah, I hope that was very helpful. So check out Melologic, right? For all your skin health needs. And yeah, hit me up. Peace.